The rain hammered against the corrugated iron roof of the warehouse, a relentless percussion that mirrored the pounding in Jack Rourke's temples. He's been tracking Lila Monroe for 2 days, following a trail of whispered rumors and dead-end leads that had led him to this forgotten corner of the docks. The air was thick with the smell of brine, decaying wood, and something faintly floral, lilies. He thought, a detail that seemed to cling to Lila like a phantom. She was here, so DeMarco had mumbled, his voice raspy with fear, a couple of hours ago. Briefly, just before it happened. It meant Arthur Vance's disappearance. Or, as Rourke suspected, Arthur Vance's demise. The warehouse itself was a husk, stripped bare of anything of value. The smoke danced in the weak light filtering through the grimy windows, illuminating a single overturned chair and a scattering of what looked like dried mud. Rourke knelt, running a gloved hand over the mud. It was distinctive, a reddish clay, not common in this part of the city. He made a note. He's been chasing shadows and half-truths for a week, hired by Lila Vance to find her missing husband. But Rourke had a feeling this wasn't simply a case of a man wanting to escape a crumbling marriage. There was something darker at play, something that smelled of corruption and desperation. The creak from the shadow sent a jolt of adrenaline through him. He spun, his hand instinctively reaching for the Colt .45 tucked into his shoulder holster. A scrawny rat scurried across the floor, disappearing into a hole in the wall. "Relax, mister." Rourke, a voice drawled from the darkness. "I was just admiring your dedication." It was Victor Martel. Martel stepped into the light, his expensive suit pristine despite the dampness. He smiled, a predator's smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You're poking around where you shouldn't be," Martel said, his voice smooth as silk. "Just doing my job," Rourke replied, keeping his voice even. He knew Martel was a dangerous man, a businessman with fingers in every illegal enterprise in the city, and he suspected Martel knew more about Arthur Vance's disappearance than he was letting on. "Your client is a complicated woman," Martel continued, his eyes flicking to the corner of the warehouse. "She seems to have a talent for attracting trouble." "Lila Vance hired me to find her husband," Rourke said, ignoring Martel's jab. "I've got a job to do." "And what will you do when you find him?" Martel asked, his voice laced with amusement. "Will you expose the secrets that he was so desperate to keep buried?" Rourke didn't answer. He knew the truth. Arthur Vance was involved in something big, something that put him squarely in Martel's crosshairs. And Lila Vance wasn't as innocent as she seemed. "I suggest you leave this alone, Mr. Rourke," Martel said, his voice hardening. "Some doors are better left closed." "I'm not afraid of a little darkness, Mr. Martel," Rourke said, holding Martel's gaze. Suddenly, a voice cut through the tension. "Victor." Lila Monroe stood in the doorway, her face pale in the dim light. She wore a simple black dress, and her eyes were filled with a mixture of fear and desperation. "What are you doing here, Lila?" Martel asked, his voice tight with anger. "I needed to talk to him," Lila said, gesturing to Rourke. "About Arthur." "You shouldn't have come," Martel snapped. "This is none of your concern." "It is my concern," Lila insisted, her voice trembling. "Arthur was going to tell me something important, but then he disappeared." "And what was he going to tell you?" Rourke asked, stepping forward. Lila hesitated, glancing nervously at Martel. He said there was a collector, someone who wanted something he had, something valuable." "A collector?" Martel scoffed. "What nonsense is this?" "He was scared," Lila whispered. "He said the collector wouldn't stop until he got what he wanted, and then he's gone." Rourke's eyes scanned the warehouse, searching for any sign of a struggle. He noticed a faint scent of lilies again, stronger this time. Lila always wore lily perfume, which Arthur hated, and that's the same scent he smelled in Lila's apartment. He looked back at Lila, noticing that something seemed off. Her eyes were too wide, and that particular scent of lily perfume wasn't just around her. He made the connection, and he realized that she wasn't being truthful. "You know more than you're letting on, Lila," Rourke said, his voice low and dangerous. Lila's face crumpled, and she began to sob. "I don't know anything. Please, just leave me alone." Martel stepped forward, placing a hand on Lila's shoulder. "Let's go, Lila. He's clearly not going to help you." Lila allowed Martel to lead her away, her shoulders slumped in defeat. As they disappeared into the darkness, Rourke caught a final glimpse of her face, a mask of fear and regret. Rourke turned his attention back to the warehouse, his mind racing. The collector, the hieroglyphic locket, the scent of lilies, it was all connected. He knelt again, examining the reddish clay on the floor. This wasn't just a case of a missing husband. It was a web of lies, deception, and danger that reached far beyond anything he had imagined. He knew he had just scratched the surface of a much larger, more sinister truth. As the rain continued to pound against the warehouse roof, Rourke vowed to uncover the full story, no matter the cost. He felt a presence behind him, and he turned to face it. "You're getting too close to something you shouldn't," a voice growled. Rourke spun around and was greeted with a familiar face. It was Sergeant Miller. "I'm only doing my job, Sergeant," Rourke said. "Your job is to let this go. Some things are better left buried." Miller's hand rested on his holster, a silent warning. "I'm not one to ignore a missing person." Arthur Vance was a man who made his own enemies. Maybe he just ran. Rourke didn't believe it. There was something rotten in the city, and he wouldn't rest until he unearthed it. "Good night, Sergeant." He turned and walked back into the rain, knowing that he had just made a powerful enemy. He felt another presence behind him and turned quickly to face it. It was one of Marvel's thugs, and Rourke was ready.